What does it mean to become whole? Is it a journey of weaving together every thread of our being, even the frayed and shadowed ones? Or is it about rising above our limitations to sculpt a grander version of ourselves? Two towering figures in psychology and philosophy, Carl Jung and Friedrich Nietzsche, grappled with this question through their transformative concepts of individuation and self-overcoming. Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist, saw wholeness as the integration of the conscious and unconscious mind, a process he dubbed individuation. Nietzsche, the German philosopher, envisioned it as a relentless ascent beyond one's current self, a pursuit he called self-overcoming, epitomized by his ideal of the Übermensch or Overman. Both ideas delve deep into the human psyche, yet they chart distinct paths to self-realization. This script explores these profound concepts, weaving a narrative that contrasts their approaches while uncovering their shared essence. Through vivid analogies, thought-provoking reflections, and practical insights, we'll embark on a journey to understand how these philosophies can illuminate our own quests for meaning and authenticity in a complex modern world. Imagine your mind as a sprawling, uncharted wilderness. There are sunlit clearings, your conscious thoughts, emotions, and habits that you navigate daily with ease. But beyond the familiar lies a dense forest of shadows, the unconscious, where hidden fears, repressed desires, and forgotten memories reside. Carl Jung called this obscured region the shadow, and he believed that true wholeness begins with exploring it. Individuation, in Jung's view, is the courageous expedition to map this entire terrain, bridging the divide between the conscious and unconscious. It's not about erasing the shadow, but illuminating it, understanding its contours and integrating it into your identity. Picture a fractured mosaic. Individuation is the art of piecing it together, not by discarding the jagged shards, but by finding their place in the whole. Through this process, Jung argued, we become authentic, unified selves, not perfect, but complete. This journey demands introspection, often through tools like dream analysis or creative expression, inviting us to confront the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. For Jung, individuation is the privilege of a lifetime, to become who you truly are. Now envision yourself as a sculptor standing before a rough-hewn block of marble. Your life, your potential. Within lies a masterpiece, but it's buried beneath layers of excess stone, doubts, fears, and complacency. Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of self-overcoming is the act of wielding the chisel, tirelessly carving away these impediments to reveal the extraordinary within. Unlike Jung's integrative approach, Nietzsche's focus is on transcendence, pushing beyond your current self to become something greater. This isn't a static achievement, but a dynamic, unending process of growth. Nietzsche's Übermensch embodies this ideal, a being who overcomes societal constraints and personal weaknesses to forge a higher existence. Think of a mountaineer scaling peak after peak, each summit revealing a new horizon to conquer. Self-overcoming demands boldness, a willingness to embrace struggle, and a rejection of mediocrity. Become who you are, Nietzsche urged, echoing the ancient poet Pindar. Yet his path is one of ceaseless striving. It's about crafting a legacy of resilience and aspiration, where every challenge is a chance to refine the sculpture of your soul. At first glance, Jung's individuation and Nietzsche's self-overcoming seem to tread different trails, yet they converge on a fundamental truth. Becoming whole is an active, transformative endeavor. Both thinkers recognize that the self is not a fixed entity, but a living, evolving creation. For Jung, transformation arises from reconciling inner opposites, light and dark, known and unknown, into a harmonious whole. For Nietzsche, it's about transcending those opposites, leaping beyond limitations to reach new heights. Picture two travelers. One builds a sturdy bridge across a turbulent river, uniting its banks. The other constructs a ladder to climb above it. Both journeys require courage, self-awareness, and a confrontation with the uncomfortable. Whether it's Jung's shadow lurking in the depths or Nietzsche's weaknesses begging to be surpassed, the process is never passive. This shared emphasis on transformation invites us to see ourselves as works in progress, perpetually shaping who we are meant to be. In their own ways, Jung and Nietzsche beckon us to step into the arena of our own becoming, Dive deeper and the philosophies diverge over a pivotal question. What do we do with the shadow? Jung saw the shadow as a treasure chest of untapped potential, albeit one guarded by discomfort. It holds our suppressed traits, anger, envy, creativity, locked away by shame or fear. Individuation demands we unlock it, not to indulge these aspects, but to understand and integrate them. Imagine a gardener tending a wild plot. Rather than uprooting every weed, she learns their nature, cultivating a richer ecosystem. Jung warned that ignoring the shadow breeds projection, where we cast our flaws onto others, distorting reality. Contrast this with Nietzsche, who might view such weeds as obstacles to uproot. Self-overcoming doesn't linger in the shadows. It seeks to rise above them. Weaknesses for Nietzsche are chisel marks to smooth away, not features to embrace. Where Jung finds strength in unity, Nietzsche finds it in selective transcendence. This tension, integration versus overcoming, reveals a core philosophical rift. Is wholeness about embracing all we are, or refining what we could be? How do we embark on these quests in our daily lives? Jung offered practical tools to aid individuation, each a lantern to light the unconscious. Dream analysis invites us to decode the cryptic stories our minds weave at night, revealing shadow whispers. Active imagination, a kind of guided daydreaming, lets us dialogue with inner figures, from suppressed fears to buried muses. Creative pursuits like painting or writing externalize the psyche's depths, making the invisible tangible. These practices aren't quick fixes. They're slow, deliberate excavations of the self. Nietzsche's self-overcoming, meanwhile, thrives on action and ambition. Set a towering goal, a marathon, a novel, a bold career shift, and pursue it with fervor. Embrace discomfort as a forge, tempering your will. Where Jung's tools turn inward, Nietzsche's propel outward, urging you to test your limits. Picture Jung as an archaeologist, unearthing relics of the soul, and Nietzsche as an architect, building towers to the sky. Both approaches demand commitment, offering modern seekers a dual toolkit for wholeness, one rooted in reflection, the other in relentless pursuit. These concepts echo through timeless stories, particularly the hero's journey, a narrative Jung and Nietzsche both admired. Consider a hero like Odysseus. His odyssey mirrors individuation as he faces trials, cyclopes, sirens, his own hubris, that reflect his inner shadows. Each encounter forces him to integrate these facets, returning home not just victorious but whole. Now imagine Nietzsche's lens. Odysseus as the self-overcomer, transcending each obstacle to prove his resilience, sculpting himself into a legend. The call to adventure aligns with both. Jung's plunge into the unconscious, Nietzsche's leap beyond comfort. The mentor, Athena for Odysseus, might symbolize Jung's archetypes or Nietzsche's will to power. The return home reflects Jung's integration and Nietzsche's elevated state. This mythic framework reveals how individuation and self-overcoming intertwine in our cultural DNA, offering archetypes we live out unconsciously. Whether we're battling personal dragons or striving for epic feats, these tales remind us that wholeness is a heroic endeavor, blending acceptance and ambition in a dance as old as storytelling itself. Both thinkers gifted us with words that pierce the soul, encapsulating their visions. Jung declared, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This crystallizes individuation, a call to unearth your authentic self, shadows and all, rather than wear society's mask. Nietzsche countered with, "Become who you are," a mandate to forge that self through trials, not merely uncover it. On the surface, these aphorisms align. Authenticity is the prize. Yet Jung's tone is introspective, a gentle unveiling, while Nietzsche is a clarion call, a challenge to create. Imagine them debating across time. Jung might argue that true authenticity emerges from knowing all your parts. Nietzsche might retort that it's forged by transcending the lesser ones. Their words, like twin beacons, illuminate the paradox of selfhood, finding versus making who we are. In a world obsessed with personas, these quotes urge us to peel back the layers or hammer them into something greater. each a poetic nudge toward wholeness. In our fast-paced, self-improvement-driven era, Jung and Nietzsche feel strikingly relevant. Social media bombards us with curated selves, amplifying Jung's shadow, envy, inadequacy, pushing it underground. Individuation offers a remedy. Reflect on those feelings, journal your dreams, or paint your frustrations, integrating them rather than projecting them online. Meanwhile, Nietzsche's self-overcoming resonates with our hustle culture. Set a bold fitness goal or launch that passion project, each step a chisel stroke toward your Übermensch. Yet modern pitfalls loom. Individuation risks navel-gazing if it forgets the world beyond the self. Self-overcoming can morph into burnout or arrogance without balance. Picture a tech worker meditating on Jung's archetypes to find peace, then channeling Nietzsche to pitch a startup. Together, these ideas temper each other, grounding ambition with self-knowledge, lifting introspection with purpose. They challenge us to navigate today's pressures not as victims, but as architects of our own becoming, crafting lives that honor both our depths and our dreams. No journey is without hazards, and these philosophies carry risks if misunderstood. Jung's individuation might seduce us into self-absorption, mistaking endless introspection for progress. It's not about wallowing in the shadow, but engaging it to enrich our lives and relationships. Imagine a recluse fixated on his dreams, neglecting the world. Wholeness eludes him. Nietzsche's self-overcoming, too, can veer off course. Pursued ruthlessly, it risks trampling others or glorifying ego, a far cry from the Übermensch's creative vitality. Picture a tycoon crushing rivals, blind to his own fragility. He overcomes nothing but his humanity. Jung might caution that denying the shadow fuels such distortions. Nietzsche might warn that clinging to weakness stalls transcendence. Both paths demand humility, individuation to see our limits, self-overcoming to push past them wisely. Recognizing these pitfalls transforms them into lessons, guiding us toward a balanced wholeness that neither isolates nor dominates but connects and elevates. What if Jung and Nietzsche could sit across a table, sipping coffee, debating their visions? Jung might lean forward, eyes twinkling, and say, "Friedrich, your self-overcoming inspires, but without integrating the shadow, you risk being ruled by what you deny." Nietzsche, stroking his mustache, might reply, "Carl, integration is noble, but why settle for harmony when you can transcend? The shadow's a weight, cast it off to soar." Jung could counter, "That weight grounds us. Without it, your Übermensch floats unmoored, a fantasy." Nietzsche might chuckle, "And your whole self, tethered to every flaw, plods when it could leap." Their banter reveals a dynamic tension. Jung's depth versus Nietzsche's height, acceptance versus aspiration. Yet they might nod at a shared truth, becoming whole demands facing the self head-on. This imagined exchange animates their ideas, making them sparring partners in the ring of human potential, urging us to wrestle with both unity and transcendence in our own lives. Could these philosophies intertwine rather than compete? Individuation and self-overcoming might be two sides of wholeness, like roots and wings. Jung's process lays the groundwork. Explore your psyche, integrate your shadow, and build a stable core of self-knowledge. From there, Nietzsche's vision takes flight. Use that foundation to overcome limits, chase bold horizons, and sculpt your Übermensch. Imagine a tree. Jung nurtures its roots, anchoring it in rich soil. Nietzsche urges its branches skyward, defying gravity. A student might first journal her fears, Jung, then channel that clarity into a daring career pivot, Nietzsche. This synergy tempers excess. Individuation curbs self-overcoming's hubris, while self-overcoming lifts individuation from stagnation. Together, they offer a holistic path. Know yourself deeply, then push beyond. In practice, this might mean meditating on your shadow one day, then tackling a fear the next, weaving introspection with action into a tapestry of growth that honors both thinkers' legacies. While both concepts focus on the individual, their ripples extend outward. Jung believed individuation enriches society. A whole person contributes authentically, their integrated shadow no longer poisoning relationships with projection. Think of a teacher who, having faced her own doubts, inspires students with genuine empathy. Nietzsche's self-overcoming, too, has communal echoes. The Übermensch isn't a tyrant, but a creator whose transcendence uplifts others. Picture an artist overcoming despair to craft works that stir a generation. Jung might say wholeness heals the collective psyche. Nietzsche might argue it ignites it. In a fragmented world polarized by politics, strained by isolation, these ideas suggest personal growth isn't selfish. A whole self, whether through integration or transcendence, becomes a beacon, subtly shifting the cultural fabric. This interplay hints that becoming whole isn't just for us, but for the web of humanity we inhabit. A quiet revolution sparked within. Neither Jung nor Nietzsche saw wholeness as a finish line. It's a dance, fluid and ongoing. Individuation unfolds over decades, each shadow integrated, revealing new depths to explore. Self-overcoming, too, is endless. Every peak scaled unveils another to climb. Picture a spiral. Jung's path circles inward, gathering fragments into unity, while Nietzsche's spirals upward, each loop a higher self. Life's seasons, youth's ambition, midlife's reflection, age's wisdom, demand both. A young dreamer might chase Nietzsche's heights, only to find Jung's depths in crisis. An elder might integrate a lifetime's shadows, then overcome frailty with quiet defiance. This fluidity defies our culture's rush for quick fixes, urging patience. It's not about arriving but evolving, step by step, through joy and struggle. Jung and Nietzsche whisper that wholeness isn't static perfection, but a living rhythm, a dance we refine with every breath, forever becoming who we are. Literature teems with characters embodying these quests. Take Dostoevsky's Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment. His shadow, arrogance, guilt, drives him to murder. Yet his journey mirrors individuation as he confronts and integrates it through suffering and redemption. Conversely, Melville's Ahab in Moby Dick chases self-overcoming, his obsession with the whale a bid to transcend human limits, though it consumes him. These tales reflect Jung's warning of unintegrated shadows and Nietzsche's peril of unchecked ambition. Or consider Tolkien's Frodo. His burden with the ring tests both, integrating fear and despair, overcoming temptation to destroy it. Such stories are mirrors, showing how individuation and self-overcoming play out in extremis. They teach us that wholeness isn't abstract, but visceral, woven into our narratives of struggle and triumph, urging us to see our lives as epics where shadows and summits coexist. In psychology, resilience, the ability to thrive amid adversity, ties Jung and Nietzsche together. Individuation fosters resilience by fortifying self-awareness. Knowing your shadow equips you to face life's storms without crumbling. A soldier processing trauma through Jungian therapy might integrate his pain, emerging steadier. Self-overcoming builds resilience through grit. Pushing past setbacks, as Nietzsche advocates, forges an unyielding spirit. A cancer survivor training for a marathon embodies this, transcending suffering with each stride. Studies show self-reflection aids mental health, Jung's gift, while goal-setting boosts perseverance, Nietzsche's legacy. Blended, they create a robust psyche, one that bends but doesn't break, rooted yet reaching. In a world of pandemics and uncertainty, this dual resilience, inner harmony plus outer resolve, offers a blueprint for not just surviving, but flourishing, turning chaos into a canvas for wholeness. Society shapes our paths to wholeness, often casting its own shadows. Jung saw collective norms repressing the individual psyche, stuffing quirks into conformity's box. Individuation resists this, reclaiming the self from cultural scripts. Think of an artist defying trends to paint her truth. Nietzsche scorned herd mentality, urging self-overcoming to break free and create new values. A rebel entrepreneur disrupting an industry channels this defiance. Yet society also aids. Communities offer Jungian archetypes to explore, while challenges provide Nietzschean trials to conquer. The tension, fitting in versus standing out, forces us to wrestle with both concepts. In today's global village, where tradition clashes with innovation, this dance intensifies. Jung might say we integrate society's shadow to grow. Nietzsche might push us to transcend it. Navigating this cultural maze, we find wholeness not in isolation, but in dialogue with the world, balancing its weight with our wings. Becoming whole invites questions that echo Jung and Nietzsche's voices. What shadows do I hide? Anger, shame, untapped gifts. Jung nudges us to face them. Journal a recurring dream, name a fear. What limits hold me back? Doubt, routine, comfort. Nietzsche dares us to shatter them. Climb a literal or metaphoric mountain. Am I whole through unity or ascent? Perhaps both. Reflect on a flaw, then overcome it. These queries aren't academic. They're personal, piercing. A parent might ask, how do I integrate my impatience to be a better guide, then transcend it to model strength? A student might ponder, what unconscious fears stall my studies, and how do I push past them to excel? This inner dialogue, sparked by Jung and Nietzsche, turns philosophy into a mirror, reflecting our struggles and potential. It's a conversation we carry lifelong, each answer a step toward authenticity. Try this. For 1 week, blend Jung and Nietzsche into your routine. Monday, sit with a shadow, jealousy perhaps. Write its story, feel its roots, integrate it as Jung would. Tuesday, pick a limit, procrastination, and overcome it, Nietzsche style, finishing a task you've dodged. Wednesday, dream deeply, decode it with Jung's curiosity. Thursday, set a bold goal, run farther, speak braver, and chase it with Nietzsche's fire. Friday, reflect, how do these acts shift you? Saturday, create, draw, cook, dream, merging Jung's depth with Nietzsche's drive. Sunday, rest asking, am I more whole? This experiment isn't abstract. It's raw, real, a taste of both paths. You might stumble. Shadows resist light, limits fight back. But that's the point. Jung and Nietzsche didn't promise ease, only truth. Through sweat and insight, you'll glimpse their visions, not as theories, but as pulses in your own becoming. Jung and Nietzsche present a paradox. Wholeness as unity and transcendence, stillness and motion. Jung's individuation is a circle, complete when all parts align, a self at peace. Nietzsche's self-overcoming is an arrow, piercing ever upward, a self in flux. Can both be true? Perhaps wholeness isn't one or the other, but a dialectic, a tension we live. A musician integrates her stage fright, Jung, then overcomes it to perform, Nietzsche. Her art richer for both. Life oscillates, moments of harmony, bursts of growth, each feeding the other. Jung gives us roots to stand firm, Nietzsche wings to soar. Embracing this paradox, we see wholeness as a spectrum, not a box, where acceptance and ambition coexist. It's messy, human, alive, like us. This duality challenges our need for tidy answers, inviting us to dwell in the mystery of becoming whole in our incompleteness. Carl Jung and Friedrich Nietzsche, through individuation and self-overcoming, illuminate the human quest for wholeness with distinct yet resonant lights. Jung invites us to explore our psyche's wilderness, integrating every shadow into a unified self, a journey of depth and acceptance. Nietzsche challenges us to sculpt beyond our marble, transcending limits to craft a higher being, a path of height and defiance. Together they weave a tapestry of transformation, urging us to know ourselves and push beyond, to embrace our shadows and chase our summits. In a world that often demands conformity or shallow hustle, their ideas are radical acts of authenticity. Wholeness, they teach, is no static prize but a lifelong becoming, a dance of roots and wings, reflection and resolve. As we navigate our own stories, Jung and Nietzsche stand as guides, whispering, become whole, not by arriving, but by daring to journey ever onward, fully, fiercely, you.